Great to see you. Hello there and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jedel Kabir. It is always a joy and a pleasure to have you joining us every single time. We don't take it for granted that you give us some minutes in your day to listen to these conversations about country, politics and policy. I'm here with Herman Manyora. Great to see you, Prof. How are you?
Thank you.
Talking about the loyal opposition. Photos circulating of the meeting that Rigathi, Gachagua, Fred Matiang'i, Martha Karua, Kalonzo and they have met, they're having conversations about how they can change this country. But interestingly, conversation is also from the Gen Z side. Is this the team that embodies what Gen Zs want? You have Gen Zs around, you talk to a lot of Gen Zs. Do this team represent what Gen Zs need when you look at the conversations they're bringing about in the country?
The way things look now is like this, just business as usual, or more like politics as usual. There is a set of Kenyans who want to take over power from another set of Kenyans. And that doesn't look very good. That doesn't look, to me, to be attractive to Gen Zs. That is a missing link. What they are doing is what they have been doing from 1963. That's a set is in power, another set comes up to want to take power from them. Quite often they don't succeed. As may be the case in this, they may not succeed. Or even if they succeed, there will be no difference. Okay. And the Gen Zs are looking for a difference.
Have you thought about how they can show Gen Zs and millennials, let me put them there, and even some alphas who are going to vote? Is there a way you've thought about how Gen Zs can be enticed?
My work is to think. I do nothing more than think. That's what I do best, just thinking.
What is that one thing? If you don't give them, because I know you're a consultant, but what is that one thing that they need to tackle?
I can only tell them until they crack the Gen Z equation, they will go nowhere. Yes. They will not defeat Ruto unless they crack the Gen Z. This election must belong to the Gen Z. If it doesn't belong to the Gen Zs, Ruto will go back to power. Nobody here can beat Ruto.
After their meeting on Tuesday, they came up with a statement, I think all of them signed, that they would want to take Ruto to ICC because of that BBC documentary. Is this one of the ways of charging Gen Zs and actually showing that we are here for you as the loyal opposition?
I don't think that taking people to ICC is a question of talking or a statement. It must be more serious than that. That's not serious. Even if you ask the Gen Zs, they have not heard. Yeah. Have they heard it? Yeah. No. These people, if they are not careful, they will go nowhere. They are not. I'm not seeing the sort of seriousness you need to put into the game to be able to disturb Ruto. Sometimes I agree with Ruto when he says, these are jokers.
Even with the inclusion of Fred Matiang'i, because now he's the latest in the team, I think this is the first meeting they've had together. Even with the inclusion, because Matiang'i is known to be a go-getter, mtu wa kufanya kazi.
Of course, it gets better when they get more people like Matiang'i. It gets better. But is that better good enough? They have to think. They are not thinking so far. That evidence of thinking, I have not seen it. They have to crack the Gen Z equation. Because it is out of reach for Ruto. If the Gen Z is not supporting Ruto, doesn't mean they will support this other side.
Then if you look at Rigathi Gachagua's role in this, together with Fred Matiang'i, let me bring him again, and Martha Karua, who has now said that she will not be second fiddle to anyone. Who do you think should be leading this team? And if I extend it to, who do you think should be the flag bearer, looking at their characters?
I will leave it to them. But leaving it to them, I will not have much hope. The best that can happen to them if Kenyans force one of them to be the flag bearer, Kenyans. That's the best they can get. But if you leave to these people to choose one among themselves, I don't see them doing it. But as of now, you read a game as at the moment. Yes. With a little past and a little future, kidogo kidogo, lakini it is where we are. Where we are, I can tell you for sure. And I'm beginning a series of videos where I'm taking one after the other And mine is to show their weaknesses. I'm starting with Gachagua. I've said that before.
Yes, the video hasn't come out yet.
Then I'll follow with somebody else, then Matiang'i. Those are very serious. It's a series, but I'll also give them a chance to come and talk to Kenyans. So without any hesitation, I can tell you for a fact, there are only two serious people in that camp. Yeah. It's only Gachagua and Matiang'i.
Based on, because...
I'll get there.
Yes.
And then there is a rank of outsider. There is one outsider. You know, in racing, there are those who are hot bets that if you put a shilling on this horse, if it wins, you shall give you 50 cents
Yes.
on top of your shilling. Or maybe 1 shilling for a shilling. But there are others, if it wins, they'll give you 30 shillings
Yes.
for your shilling.
Yes.
They are called sometimes outsiders. There's an outsider. George Natembeya. It's a dangerous card. But so, since he's an outsider, let's leave him for the time being.
Okay.
Let's look at those who are there in that picture.
You have singled out Rigathi Gachagua and Fred Matiang'i.
Yes.
Why so, if you compare them with Martha and Kalonzo Musyoka?
Let's start with Gachagua. With all his weaknesses, which I'll point out, and they are major weaknesses, with all his weaknesses, Gachagua is still the strongest man in the team. He's the one running the show. What other... Is that in doubt? That Gachagua ndio kusema katika opposition sahi. He's the one running the show. Is it in doubt?
No.
It's not in doubt. So that makes him a top contender because he's the one running the show. Why is it so? If he concludes that none of these guys really look like they can beat Ruto, won't he run? He will run. In fact, I'll be surprised if Gachagua doesn't run. Because if this game continues the way it's continuing, with these people who don't have much to show, then Gachagua will not take the risk of supporting a weak person. And the best bet for him will be to run and force a runoff. Because if Gachagua runs, automatically there's a runoff. Because he will be number one, and there'll be a runoff. For Matiang'i, there's something unique about Matiang'i. If you ask Kenyans, why is everybody talking about Matiang'i? Can they tell you why? That uniqueness, that mystery is what is selling Matiang'i. Of course, coupled with his past, known to be a no-nonsense person and a worker, a man who delivers on his assignments. That is making Matiang'i different from these others who appear to be weak. So those two stand out. And if Gachagua was not running, if Gachagua wasn't running, let me tell you, and this I'm not talking as a consultant, I'm just talking as an ordinary Kenyan. Because if I talk as a consultant, I know how I'll put it.
Yeah.
If Gachagua was not running, the best bet will be Matiang'i. Alternatively, you look for an outsider.
Where do you think Matiang'i will get the numbers? Before we even talk about the outsider.
You see, Matiang'i, his name is just all over.
Yeah.
It's like Mudavadi, whose name was all over in the country. Nobody has had anything. But he had so much going against him. Despite having a national name and stature,
Yes.
he was not doing anything to excite the Kenyan public and Kenyan voter. There's something about Matiang'i that is attractive, you know.
He has that it thing. Let's just
No, he's like a diamond.
Yes.
Matiang'i is like a diamond, you know. He reflects. There's something that comes from him. Reflects light and things like those. So that is really selling him and a bit of his past. So if Gachagua was not running, the best bet for me would be Matiang'i, to support Matiang'i. But remember, there's a rank outsider. George Natembeya. If he backed George Natembeya for president, young as he is, with a proper running mate, with the support of the mountain vote, in the morning by 10 o'clock, Ruto is at home. Having a cup of tea, if the appetite is there. Sometimes the appetite can be very difficult after you lose an election.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you get what I'm saying.
You have said it very well, but you haven't said based on what?
Based on?
George Natembeya becoming the it thing.
George Natembeya has You know, people are looking for a person of courage. Somebody who can look power in the eye and say things many men can't say. They tremble, or they don't have the language, or they don't have the words, or they fumble. Natembeya talks to power direct. Has challenged power on the ground and floored it. Natembeya has floored Wetangula down. The count has gone 1, 2, Papa Roma is 10, is still down.
Yeah.
Natembeya has floored Mudavadi 1, 2, 10. All the leaders in Western, he has floored them. They are all down. If they don't know, let me tell them. A good number are my friends. I can't hide them. They are all my friends. Natembeya is the king of Western today.
So from what you're saying...
And then, if Aluya was on the ballot, the amount of votes that will come can only compare to Mount Kenya votes. There are many votes, but they have never had somebody to excite them. So if you put Aluya on the ticket, like Natembeya, and not just Aluya, a serious Aluya, who excites the crowd. And that's why I also said, whoever chooses Natembeya as a running mate is assured of the entire Western vote.
You're saying basically that Ruto needs, the person to oppose him must be a person who can call truth to power.
Yes.
Must be a courageous person.
Correct. Must be a person who, like people say, I was on Spaces and I saw you there lingering there.
Yeah.
Somebody said, you see, that I think it was Martin or, no, it was Naituli or something, Professor Naituli. He said, you see, the things you think are bad for Matiang'i, like being a bulldozer, those are the things Kenyans are looking for. They are looking for a bulldozer, a no-nonsense person. You think that's a disadvantage for Matiang'i? It is his main advantage. That's the person people are looking for. People are even fearing if Ruto lost, he will not leave. So they want to be assured the man they can give the votes will not allow Ruto not to leave if he has lost. That's how Matiang'i comes in.
And this is
Natembeya is also strong enough to convince the people of this country that he cannot allow anybody to take his victory. If it was Kalonzo, people cannot be so sure.
Maybe that's why I want to go. What is this thing about Kalonzo Musyoka and Martha Karua, who have always been on the game? You know, deputy president, running mate, I don't know, sometimes they're going for the ticket.
You can't compare Martha Karua, Kalonzo. Kalonzo, yeah, but continue.
But what is that thing about them that they're not as exciting?
The traction for Kalonzo is that people feel he's not decisive. The sort of people who look behind before they say something. He can't look at Raila and tell him something. People want people like Selassie. Look at Selassie, just a young man. Why is he exciting the crowd? Because he can tell off Raila. You think anybody can beat Selassie in the election that is coming? Even if you wanted to be senator of Kakamega, you can't beat him. Because people are looking for somebody who can look at Raila and tell him off. Kalonzo cannot. I heard him recently do something. I said, God. No, it was Eugene. You heard Eugene Wamona recently telling off Raila. That is the kind of thing people are looking for. So Kalonzo misses that punch. He's a good man. He'll be a good leader. But he's too cautious. People are not looking for a cautious person. People want a reckless. Let me tell you something else, Richard. Yeah. This country requires a mad person. To change this country, you need a madman. These guys, nice guys, cannot change this country. When Rigathi Gachagua took over with Ruto, they told us they were going to jail these guys who had held this country hostage in what they call state capture.
Yeah.
Did they go far? Kenyans are looking for a person who can come and put people inside. And Martha Karua can do that. Martha Karua is not like Kalonzo. Martha Karua has simply been unlucky.
Yeah.
First, let us not pretend to be very modern. We still have some reservation about women. It's unfortunate.
We're pretending.
We just pretend that, oh, no, we have some reservation. You just need to go to Parliament when they are discussing the 2/3 gender bill. Then you know Kenyans are still have reservation about women. They lack
quorum in Parliament.
Yeah, even quorum is not there. They have never even achieved the necessary quorum to make a constitutional amendment when they are talking about women.
Yes.
Martha Karua has the misfortune also of paying for standing up for country at the expense of community. That is never forgiven in this country. If he sees Kibaki is doing the wrong thing and she stands up against him, the mountain will never forgive her for that. She has stood for this country at moments when it meant she was rubbing her community the wrong way. When Kikuyu nation, the entire Gema community, is excited about Uhuru Kenyatta, and Martha Karua is telling people, no, we are going in the wrong direction. This country cannot be delivered through Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto in 2013. Those are the things that have cost her.
There's something you were saying, there's a difference between Kalonzo and Martha.
Yes.
What is that one difference? Is it what you're just describing, that kind of politics?
Martha is courageous. She's a lion, not even a lioness. At KICC during the disputed election of 2007, people say she was the only man standing on the side of PNU.
Yeah.
Ruto was the only man standing on the side of Raila, ODM.
Yeah.
Two. Yeah? Kina Orengo hapo, lakini there are only two men facing each other.
Yes.
Martha Karua and William Ruto. Yeah? People know she's tough.
But just politics hasn't
Politics of tribe
hasn't favored.
Have not favored her. She's been so unlucky. And that's why I know, if I had only one vote, then that one vote will give somebody the president. You know who I will give?
Yeah.
Do you need to guess?
No.
Who will I give? Just
Martha
Karua. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
If my vote was to decide who becomes president of this country, it always used to be Raila Odinga. But today it is
Martha Karua.
Yeah.
Maybe finally, when you talk about names and figures, they're putting two photos on. I'm seeing two photos on social media: Omtata, David Maraga, and then the other opposition. Yes. Is there a chance for Omtata, David Maraga, because Willis and Wanjigi have a totally different conversation about the economy? But is there a chance for Omtata Maraga?
You know what? I did a video that has done a lot of rounds on Omtata. You must have seen it. And that Omtata is ticking all the boxes. But you see, there's this thing that people are looking for, which is missing in Omtata. But he ticks all the boxes. In fact, what I was trying to say in that video, when I was talking about Omtata, is that Kenyans are not very comfortable with the current politicians. And they may be looking for somebody who is not a politician. But I don't think Omtata has run away with that narrative properly. You know, in politics, and I'm talking as a consultant, as a person who can see politics from far, objectively, it's not enough to be popular. And Raila Odinga is there to prove my case. It's not enough to be popular. Yeah. And there's always the danger in politics, and this would eat people like Matiang'i and Omtata. When you get to a point where everybody's talking about you, then you think you have arrived. Yet there is a lot more you need to do. So there was a lot more Omtata needed to do. Morara Kibaso is still a little young, a little junior in this game. But for Omtata, he was there, but he didn't move. So he's been overtaken by events. I don't think he will wake up from that. The political class, the normal politician, will still upstage him. And the next president of this country is likely to come from that class.
Because I mentioned Jimmy and Willis, maybe it's only fair you give your assessment so far with regards to their conversation about public debt. It's the economy, stupid, they put it. So far, do you think they have attracted Kenyans to seeing them as Ruto's, opposition and Ruto's challenger?
Sadly, no. That's not how politics works, especially for this country. An example was always given about somebody going to the fishermen on Lake Victoria, on the shores of Lake Victoria, and talking to them economics. It was about Kibaki.
Yeah.
Imagine uko shores of Lake Victoria, naambia watu, unajua hii samaki mnatoa hivi, tunaweza kufanya hivi, tukajenga hii, ati wakupe kura. So Jimmy Wanjigi he's missed it by a wide margin. And I've had conversations with all these people. Believe me, there isn't a politician in this country I've not had a conversation with one-to-one, with the exception of perhaps of Uhuru Kenyatta. The rest, I've had conversations with them. Not so much with Ruto, but we have had conversations when he was campaigning. I've had conversations with Raila sometimes, and I've told the Raila team, all these ideals you stand for will count for nothing. You must have power. So for Jimmy Wanjigi, those are wonderful things, but you need power. Jimmy Wanjigi and our friend, a member of this family, Willis Otieno, the deputy president designate. You need power. First, you do not get power by taking people to a classroom, economics. They will not give you votes. No. You get political power by playing politics. You cannot talk to the people of this country, to the voter, about debt. Debt ni kitu gani? Ati iko madeni ya nchi hii. Do you think they'll vote you sababu unaongea juu ya madeni?
You're underestimating Kenyans. We are critical thinkers now, bro.
I would want Kenyans to be there. Even America is not there.
Sadly.
Even America will not vote for you because even when Clinton said the economy is stupid, it's not quite true that that's what he gave him. There are always gymnastics and dynamics of politics at play. You get it?
I'm getting you.
So this country, you must touch people in certain places for them to get their vote and give you. Once you have the vote, President Jimmy Wanjigi, deputized by a very good friend, Willis Otieno, then you begin to tell Kenyans, there are many things on the table, but allow us to fix the economy first. We intend to do 1, 2, 3. Please give us time. Some of these things to be painful. We need to retire all our debt, but first of all, it's not even as much as we thought. You see, now you have the power, and you can have a conversation around the things you need to do and ask Kenyans to move with you as you implement those things.
Power first.
Power first. You don't get power by talking about foreign debt.
Thanks for tuning into that conversation. Among these names, who do you think should be the right person to take over power from William Ruto come 2026, as Willis Otieno puts it? Thanks for tuning in. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.